Good morning, everybody. My name is Joe Daly. I'm the Industrial Control Product Manager here at Gerrie Electric. Just wanted to go over some housekeeping rules for our for the 48CR Code Reader debut webinar. So thanks for joining. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day to be with us today. So just a couple things I just wanted to go over quickly. So Daniel will be our sensor specialist. He will be running the presentation. Also, if you do have questions, please feel free to chat them into the Q&A that's available on the right-hand side of your screen. That'd be the best way of communication. Now there is usually a bit of a delay, so if there is, so there might be a delay in getting a response to you. Anyway, so Daniel Jovanic, he's our sensor specialist, and he is going to be talking about the 48CR Code Reader. It's a new product that Rockwell has recently launched. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Daniel. Daniel.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about the long-awaited 48CR Code Reader. So just a couple things we can glance over, and just to echo what Joe had mentioned about questions, just due to the delay with the presentation, feel free to ask questions at any time and we will get to it as soon as we can. But again, moving on with the presentation, I think as many of us know, code reading actually takes place in our day-to-day lives, whether we know it or not, in a lot of our functions, whether it be at a high level with Amazon or any other large end user, or just scanning day-to-day items on your phone. I think we can all agree that this is playing a bigger and bigger role in industries across the board. So without further ado, we can move along. So just a quick introduction to myself. My name is Daniel Jovanic. I'm the sensor product specialist here at Gerrie Electric. I started back in 2018 after Mohawk College, did some industrial automation work within Mohawk, studying Studio 5000 as well as Factory TalkView Studio, and had a keen interest in sensing and instrumentation, so immediately jumped on board with Gerrie Electric's components team. So what we will do is we will take a look at traceability. So there's a few different things we want to discuss when we talk about traceability. So probably the first thing that comes to mind is validation. So it's simply a confirmation of what's coming and going. Inventory management heavily relies on this method. And again, we can talk about the large end users that we have, such as big companies like Amazon, whether it be automotive, inventory management. A lot of these different types of customers are using inventory management and validation. And basically what this is doing is employing this device to read different types of barcodes from 2D, 1D, all the way to direct part mark codes. So that's a form of validation. Quality control. We can consider recalls from such industries like automotive and food and bev. So whether that be contaminated food outbreak or a safety concern with automotive, that does happen on a regular basis. So traceability helps with efficiencies and minimizing those losses. And when it comes to tracking from date and time to the scanned object, all the information is read and stored, and it's held until such an event actually happens. So that would be quality control. And accountability. Liability is a huge factor for a lot of companies. We obviously consider such industries like pharmaceutical, which produces medications for the health of its consumers, and code reading can effectively take the human error out of many stages of batch processes and finalization. So as we'll further discuss in applications later on in our slides, we will definitely have a deeper look at that. But again, across the board, traceability is playing a big part in all of our industries across the board. So taking a dive into the product overview. So I want to draw your attention to the barcodes that you see on the right-hand side of your screen. I can speak for Android users. If you are able, you can actually pull down the ghost menu on your screen and pull up your QR code scanner. And you'll find that immediately the QR code reader can actually decipher both the QR and data matrix code to see Rockwell Automation. And that just goes to show, just to illustrate how deeply ingrained this is in our day-to-day lives in code scanning. So just taking a deeper look at this, in addition to the single dimensional and two-dimensional barcodes, we can also scan DPM codes, which is direct part marked. These codes are engraved 2D codes that can be found on a wide variety of materials. And on the following slide, we'll be having a look at an application that takes advantage of this feature. Damaged, incomplete symbols. This is definitely good for slightly and dirty environments that we can definitely work around. We can configure this device using the embedded web server Webconnect or Studio 5000's custom AOP. AOP stands for add-on profile, basically a segment of the software that's built within the device that allows for easier configuration and streamlines that process. Read ranges. Fixed reader standard devices have fixed ranges. So there are two different types of devices. We have fixed reader as well as an autofocus, what we call an advanced reader. So our autofocus can range from 102 millimeters to 400 millimeters, whereas our fixed readers have a standard length. These are under ideal conditions, by the way. We can get up to 60 frames per second for the standard models and 42 frames per second for the autofocus models. And we can actually add up to 100 different codes on this device. So I do want you to be aware that by adding more codes to this device, you are going to be expecting longer read times. That will be a result of loading more codes. So all of this can be configured, again, with the Webconnect server or Studio 5000 custom AOP. LED status indicators for good reads or missed reads or any problems you may be experiencing. Please note if you do have a unique lighting situation, as some photo eye sensors may have this issue, the device does work better on a slight angle. So somewhere between 15 to 30 degrees, this is where you're going to be getting that sweet spot if you have a unique lighting situation that gives you some troubles. So just something to bear in mind going forward. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a couple of applications. So the first one being automotive. So this particular application illustrates .peen codes where we aren't able to paste a sticker on the brake pads. This is where we would use a direct part mark code, as previously mentioned in the other slide. And this is able to be read, and we can send that information however you like. So this application really underscores the sensor's versatility to complex applications that we can't really solve by simply applying a barcode or sticker to an object. So it really shows that versatility, and the key functions are obvious right below. Ability to read in low contrast codes, integrated lighting, and easy setup. Printed circuit boards. So I think the one thing that I really want to draw your attention to is just the size. So if we can see in the example, we're dealing in thousandths of an inch. So we can look at a 2D code at about 0.191 millimeters. So pretty impressive when we're actually looking at using this in different applications. One of the big advantages of our code reader is the ability to read these two-dimensional codes up to that thousandth of an inch. In each of these examples, we see sizes as small as 1/4 of a millimeter. This definitely highly effective in reading in high-speed rates. Pharmaceutical packaging, we did mention this industry previously. So with match code routines, we can effectively remove the human error from the different parts of the manufacturing, from batch process to packaging, and we can ensure with certainty that the right labels are read throughout the process. So this removes that human error that can sometimes cause liability issues, and this goes across all industries. High-speed reading and positive read indication. In this particular example, we're reading two-dimensional codes at about a 1/10 of a millimeter. And high-speed sortation. So this is a generality across all industries, and I think we can all agree, food and bev and a lot of other industries, we're seeing higher and higher needs for high-speed sortation. So this is a pretty general application, but we can definitely underscore that this sensor's ability has some key features. The ability to read multiple code types and positioning, as well as being able to automatically reconfigure when the symbol location is changed. Okay, so the Webconnect overview. So this is included with the sensor, embedded in the sensor. It comes at no additional charge. What you would do is enter the IP address into any internet browser, and there you'll be able to pull up the user interface. So what this does is it allows for easy device configuration and uploading of existing saved configurations, or you can create your own unique configuration. What we have in this web server is a window of interest, or WOI. Basically, the WOI is it's the field of view. You can actually view all of your different codes, whatever's in that sensor's range, and what can be picked up. And you can see an example there with the green square shows a positive read on that QR code. So we'll have actually a much better view of this WOI in just a moment, but this window is essentially the field of view, and on the right here we have some quick access to frequently used parameters that we'll see again in the next slide. Okay, so further with the Webconnect overview. So to the left, again, we have a snapshot and the panel of commonly used parameters that are readily accessible. And right in the middle, we have our big wide window of interest, and this is where we can see our display of good or bad reads. As you can see, we're scanning two different barcodes. Our reader is able to read multiple codes at once, which is quite advantageous. That was a limitation in the past with barcode reading compared with other technologies such as RFID. We used to be able to do one at a time. As previously mentioned, the limitation here is the more barcodes you have scanned at once, it is going to increase the scan time of each and every process. So you will have to consider that when you're implementing this in your application. So bear in mind. Moreover, in the top left of this window, we have what's called a ghost menu. So if you can see that blue square that is magnified towards the bottom of the screen, this ghost menu is it just allows for changing the window of interest, auto photometry settings, and autofocus settings. It also allows for adjustment of cycle settings, presentation mode, continuous read, auto, capture, or your own custom settings. To the right, we have our display outputs showing our cycle times and symbol text depictions. And that would be that. So custom AOP. So as previously mentioned, add-on profile is embedded in the device itself at no extra cost. So we can either configure the device using a combination of both or Webconnect only. What that's going to do is remove all the configuration pages from the AOP. So by exclusively using that Webconnect server, you're taking all the configuration pages away from the AOP. All you're going to see is just a general tab, whereas the Webconnect server is going to be fully enabled. And so you basically have the option of a combination of the two or one of each. So the last configuration setting is Studio 5000 AOP only. This will put the Webconnect server on a read-only and only use the visual aid, as we saw with the window of interest. And all the configuration parameters will be absent from that screen. However, this approach will enable ADC, or automatic device configuration. For those who aren't aware what ADC is, ADC, automatic device configuration, is a feature that is enabled on a lot of Rockwell sensors that are both Ethernet and IO link based, and this is any configuration that is stored within the software of Studio 5000 can be deployed or uploaded to that sensor at any time. So ADC takes that manual work out of having to reconfigure your sensor at any time. The push-pull feature on the AOP, it allows the user to upload or download configure settings by simply pressing the refresh button. So this is within the AOP window. So at this point, I'm going to ask, there is a bit of a delay, so if you do have any questions at this time, feel free to ask, and we will definitely move on as we look at some of the specs. So we're going to be looking, there are 7 different catalog numbers. These are what we call the advanced units. The biggest difference between the standard and advanced units is the lens size and the density. So as you go up in lens size and density, your field of view goes down, and that is included in your window of interest. So that's something you're going to want to note going forward. So these are the 3 we have within the advanced units. Standard units, as you can see, we have 4 catalog numbers going from standard density up to ultra high density, and that would be that for those offerings. Accessories, we can see based on your lighting conditions, we have a polarizer, we have a diffuser, we also have a right angle mirror as well as a T-port connector. Depending on your lighting situation, you may be able to use a photo eye for triggering the device, so that T-port connector may come in handy based on your specific application, and as well as standard cables, Ethernet cables and power cables, as well as mounting brackets. And that would conclude that part of the accessories. So at this time, I'm going to ask Joe, do we have any questions?
No, we don't currently have any questions at this time.
Okay, that's fair. So what I'm going to do is we will give it about a moment or two, and if there's nothing else, we can conclude this meeting. So we'll just give it a quick moment.
No, there is no new questions at this time.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, as part of the components team here at Gerrie Electric, we want to thank you for coming out to check out our new 48CR code reader. We will be following up with an email. Please feel free to come check out the blog post regarding the 48CR. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm Daniel Jovanic with Gerrie Electric, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks for attending, everybody.